The following is a presentation of Flow Sports.
It's World Series time yet again, and we're in for a great 9 nights of racing action.
Trouble.
Doug Kobe into the back of Justin Bonsignore in turns 1 and 2.
We're going to stack him up big time in turn 2.
Emotional contact, hard into the wall. Allen up into the wall hard.
Still inside. Free roll, come on inside, top of 3.
As we have a big one on the front straightaway. Around goes right, around goes Sutton. Cars piling in. Butcher laid rubber, sliding sideways, up the track. Butcher slides sideways, loses the lead. We are underway for the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing.
Good evening and welcome back to New Smyrna Speedway for night 9 of the 60th running of the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing, presented by Orlando Longwood Auto Auction. We're live on FloRacing as the final night has arrived here in Florida, and after more than a week of intense competition, it all comes down to tonight. Hello everyone, I'm Adam Mackey alongside Charles Crawl here in the booth with Bob Dillner covering all the action from pit road. Sit back and settle in. It's the final night of the World Series, and it starts right now on FloRacing. You are joining us live with qualifying for the sprint cars.
Adam, I'll tell you what, these machines are thrilling on a big, fast, paved half-mile oval like here at New Smyrna Speedway. Look at that lap time for Bobby Santos III. Of course, Bobby, a former NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion, former ARCA Menard Series race winner. He has won in just about any type of race car that he has buckled himself into. Already 15.201 in qualifying. We've got another couple of cars that might lower that just a tick or two more. I think we might even theoretically even see a car in the 14-second bracket here in sprint car qualifying. These things are just so blindingly fast.
Yeah, that 15.201, I believe, is the fastest lap we've seen from a sprint car here today. These things absolutely flying around here, over 2 seconds quicker than anything else we've had on track. And Santos, quickest of the first two, the 61 car of Colton Bettis out of Lutz, Florida. Teenage competitor, 24 and 25, Southern Sprint Car Shootout champion with 10 wins over the last few years for the 61 at Bettis. And he's picked up a win right here at New Smyrna Speedway as well late in the season last year. And Bettis crosses the line with a 15.180. They are up on the wheel in single car qualifying for the sprint cars. Tonight they will run a couple of heat races after the Mods of Mayhem feature, and then they will run their feature event at the end of the night, a 25-lap event.
That's a very familiar looking scheme for those of us who have, those of you who have watched us here at the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing the last handful of years. A little bit different type of race car that it's on. This is Anthony Nocella. We've seen him in the Tour Type Modified division the last several years. Anthony making the transition over to pavement sprint car racing. His first lap on the racetrack. We'll see if he can break into that 15-second bracket. He's got a lot of experience here over the years. A lot of experience behind Tour Type Modifieds as well. Used to the quick reaction times. I don't know, though, Adam. A lot of speed in these open wheel sprint cars here.
Very light race car, a lot of downforce with a big wing on top, and it is Anthony Nocella on the clock, seeing the white flag. Nocella, as you mentioned, a former Tour Type Modified competitor during the World Series, where he's picked up a couple of World Series wins in the Tour Type Modifieds. He was the 2017 Modified Racing Series champion, and he moves up to third quick. Anthony Nocella, car number 92, third out of our first 4 qualifiers.
Big pickup on that second lap for Anthony Nocella, so getting the gist of these open wheel sprint cars. With these cars, a little bit different practice formula for these cars than the other divisions. They do not get hundreds of laps of practice throughout the course of several days. These guys each got, you know, maybe a dozen laps of practice throughout the course of the day. So you've got to be able to get these things set up and get comfortable behind the wheel of these things in a big hurry. Next car on the racetrack, the 24, Dylan Reynolds, next on the racetrack.
He was a runner-up in the points for the 24 season for the Southern Sprint Car Shootout Series. Races in must-see on a part-time basis as well. This driver, Dylan Reynolds, out of Leesburg, Florida, the qualifier for the sprints right now, coming across the line at the white flag, and he moves up to third quick on lap 1. Pretty good lap number 1 for Reynolds. Trying to beat a 15.180 by Colton Bettis. Santos right behind him with a 15.201. And Bettis to the stripe. Reynolds to the stripe with a 15.582 for the 24 of Dylan Reynolds. Bettis quickest, Santos, then Reynolds third fast. 5 of about 13 competitors have qualified for the FMS Outlaw Series, their inaugural event. They plan on running several races during the course of the 2026 season. Full details, full schedule coming out as the 20 of Albie Ovitt hits the racetrack.
Out of Raymond, New Hampshire. Bet you he's enjoying some time down here in the sunny state of Florida. 23 NEMA Light champion. The 24-star Superstock Tour champ up in New Hampshire.
Ovid across the line will go 6 quick on lap number 1. Tonight's action will see the modifieds of Mayhem, a strong field of over 20 cars going 60 laps. And a couple of heat races for these sprint cars, followed by the Super Stocks and a 35-lapper, the Pro Trucks a 60-lapper, and then the sprint cars back out for their 25-lap feature to wrap up the final night of the 60th running of the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. Ovid good enough for 4th quick in qualifying of the first 6. About halfway through the time trial session for the FMS Outlaw Series sprint cars. Well, if anyone has a chance to best the 15.180 by Colton Bettis, it's this driver behind the wheel of the number 14, Davey Hamilton Jr.
Of course, Davey's father, a longtime competitor in the IndyCar series, also very familiar name out on the West Coast, wing super modified driver.
Hamilton was here yesterday practicing during an open session for the sprint cars and was laying down some fast laps. Hamilton.
Big push through the center of the corner on both ends of the racetrack there for Davey. I don't know if that's going to hamper his efforts here on lap. Ooh, big push again right there out of turn 4.
Yeah, he was able to pick it up on lap 2 of 15.550, puts himself in third. We've seen him go better than that and look better. He had a big shove through the corners, did Hamilton. 7 drivers have gone qualifying. Bettis' lap the fastest we've seen on track in 2 days for the sprint cars in practice and qualifying.
Adam, I think this guy could be a threat for not only the top qualifier honors tonight, but to make the trip to victory lane. One of the best pavement open wheel racers of any kind across the country. Multiple time USAC Silver Crown champion and the all-time leading winner in that series. Here comes Cody Swanson next on the racetrack in that beautiful number 26 car, fielded by the Aaron Pierce Racing team.
2-time 500 sprint car tour champion, 8-time USAC Silver Crown Series champion with 49 wins on that series. He can also wheel a winged sprint car across the line. Cody Swanson, first lap in the 16, is going to need a big pickup on lap 2, a wiggle in the second corner.
Maybe not as fast as we expected him here right out of the box, but that car looking a little darty. Maybe they could work on that setup a little bit and get Swanson a little more comfortable. Good pickup there on lap 2. Puts him down in the 15-second bracket.
You're watching bonus coverage of qualifying for the FMS Outlaw Series from New Smyrna Speedway, where single car qualifying taking place right now to line them up for their 2 heat races. Then from the heats, there will be some passing points involved to line them up for their 25-lap feature later tonight. The 19 of Cheyenne Potter coming to the racetrack to qualify. This number 19 of Potter out of Lake Helen, Florida. Ran the Top Gun Sprint Car Series last season. Has also raced sprints on dirt.
Cheyenne getting on the gas there off of turn 4. Car didn't look like it was very down into the racetrack there. A little tail happy there coming off of turn 4, coming to the green.
First lap of qualifying for the 19 of Potter, 18.545. Diamonds off 1 and 2 on the second lap with just a few more qualifiers scheduled to go. We see at least 3 or 4 cars on pit road ready to be pushed off. Potter's second time across the stripe. 17.619.
Good pickup there for the second and final lap of her qualification effort. That does leave her 9th on the list so far. Still a short handful of cars yet to come here in our sprint car qualifying. Kind of the opening event for night number 9. Final night of the World Series of Asphalt Racing. And Adam, I'll tell you what, it seemed like just yesterday we were here kicking things off, looking forward to the next 8 nights. And I can't believe that the previous 8 nights are already in the bag. It went by in a hurry, didn't it?
It did. We got them all in again with great weather throughout the week. 9 nights on the schedule, 9 nights completed as of tonight as the number 5 goes qualifying Joe Ligori out of Lebanon, Indiana. 39 years of age, a 2-time must-see Racing Series champion in 24 and 25 is Ligori. On the hammer hard, right against the bottom line through 3 and 4. Ligori crosses the stripe, 8th quick, 16.053 down on the flat of the racetrack in turn 1 as he skates it through the second corner.
And these sprint cars will have a couple of 8-lap qualifying heats coming up a little bit later on in the program that will set the feature lineup.
Oh,
look at that.
He stayed on the hammer pretty much all the way through 3 and 4. Not even sure if he checked up whatsoever in the 3rd and 4th corner on the second lap at a 15.426 for Joe Ligori from Indiana, moving up to 3rd fast, trailing only Colton Bettis and Bobby Santos III.
Jerry Paquin next on the racetrack in this beautiful white number 44. See if he can break into the top 10. Yeah. Number 44 on the racetrack. Ooh, pushing up the racetrack just a bit. Jerry Paquin in that number 44 car. 18.077 seconds. 11th quick. And here comes the 21J next out onto the racetrack. We've been trying to figure out the pronunciation. Elzegor, is that that's the correct pronunciation?
Sprint cars qualifying the FMS Outlaw Series. Elzegor qualifying in the 21J car. Pronunciation we were given for this ride. Maybe some spelling issues in timing and scoring as the white flag waves for Elzegor across the line. And 12th quick.
You know, Adam, if I've learned nothing else this week, when all else fails, blame timing and scoring. That's what we
yeah, that's right.
Good looking field of race cars here. It's a little bit shorter field than we expect. Maybe at some of the bigger $1 million to win races later on in the year, but for the first effort out of the box, good looking field of sprint cars here. And it's been a long time since we've had wing sprint cars as a part of the World Series.
It has been a bit, and they have been fast in qualifying. We're down to our final qualifier coming up. Larry Brazil in the 21B ready to roll. Out of Tampa, Florida. Southern Sprint Car Shootout Series racer. It's Larry Brazil. That's the final driver to go. Quick time right now. Colton Bettis in the 61. Bobby Santos the third is second. Joe Ligori third. And Davey Hamilton Jr. rounding out the top four as we get some bonus coverage in qualifying for the FMS Outlaw Series in their inaugural event. And the green flag is out. Final qualifier.
Joe Brazil making his first trip at speed down the back straightaway. We'll be looking at the white flag. Look at that, a little sideways, throwing some sparks off at turn 4. First lap time for Joe Brazil. 10th quick, 17.170. Pretty solid first lap there for the driver out of Tampa, Florida.
Brazil through 3 and 4, stays on the hammer.
Ooh,
got some sparks flying. He had to maybe check up a lift a little in turn 4. Second lap a little better, but stays in the number 10 position. All of our drivers going quickest on their second lap once they got that momentum build up, some heat in the tires. And that should wrap it up for qualifying for all 4 of our classes here tonight. Quick time in the FMS Outlaw Series sprint cars tonight. Colton Bettis, a couple of heat races coming up after the modifieds. We have opening ceremonies pre-race, and then we go racing for the 9th and final night of the World Series.
Since 1978, Sweet Manufacturing has been the leader in high-performance power steering. Employee-owned and built in the USA, we proudly deliver the best in-class steering equipment. With constant innovation and development, we push performance to the next level because champions demand the best. When precision matters and performance counts, trust the experts. Sweet Manufacturing. Let us turn your wheels.
The engine shop at the legendary garage is proud to carry the winning tradition of the progressive spec engine into the future. Proven power from smart modifieds to super late models. Built for reliability, designed to save teams money. Expect a long service life of winning power. The progressive spec engine, reliable, proven, racer approved. Find the engine shop online at thelegendarygarage.com.
When you go green, precision matters, and that's why you choose Weir's Machine. From suspension components, tools, and data technology, we've changed the game for race teams around the world. Our ultra-force load machines are revolutionizing how teams collect and analyze data, while our Circle Track app provides a data storage notebook, giving you the edge on every turn. We're not here to follow the pack, we're here to lead it. American-made, race-tested, Weir's Machine.
Back to the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing, qualifying complete for the FMS Outlaw Series sprint cars and their inaugural event. A new series coming in to play in 2026. Charlie Krall, Adam Mackey, and Bob Dillner with you here on FloRacing for our final night of the World Series. Colton Bettis sets quick time for the sprint cars tonight with a 15.180. All fields have been set. We'll have heat races coming up a little later for the sprints, and then a feature at the end of the night. Those cars wicked fast around this half-mile racetrack. 67 degrees, a beautiful evening, warmer conditions than we've had in a while, and it's been a beautiful week. It was a little chilly earlier in the first 4 or 5 nights. 60th running of the World Series in the track's 60th season. A little over that, but we're celebrating 60 this week. Plenty of 60-lap features. It was repaid back in 2007. Surface still in pretty good shape around this half mile. Super late models this week. They ended their season on Thursday night. And when it comes to the World Series, this was the first night of the week. Gabe Summers claimed a victory. His week went downhill a few days later, but Gabe Summers started his week strong with a dominant performance. Jade Avedissian in the 24 claimed a win. on night number 2, Saturday night for the Supers, which kind of seems like fairly long ago. We look at it that way, it seems like it was fairly long ago.
It was a week ago.
Yes.
It was a week ago.
Carson Brown, Spencer Davis winning the next 2 nights. There's Brown's win on Tuesday. It was consistency for the first few nights for Spencer Davis, and then on Wednesday night, he was able to bring this 96 car across the line first after a couple of podium finishes to claim a victory in the David Rogers Super Late Models.
And then he put the period on it with a dominant performance in the final feature event of the week for the Super Late Models on Thursday and locked up the series championship. 24-point gap over Jade Avedizzi, and Jade had a terrific week in that 24 car. Picked up a feature win on Saturday night. Second only female winner in the Super Late Model division in the history of the World Series. So Jade with a terrific weekend.
Congratulations to Davis for his World Series championship. Pro Late Models, they determined a champion on Thursday night as well. We look back to their first race of the week, one that had a couple of big pileups and tore up some equipment. Their week got better as it went on, but this is all from night 1.
Big time wreck right here on a restart, and believe it or not, the following restart looked exactly like that. Another big wreck. And the first feature event of the week ended under caution. Cole Roby picking up the victory. Look at this stack up in the second feature event. And this is the wreck that just keeps on happening. Brad May getting into Kyle Benjamin there. The twin number 9 cars getting into it. And look at this big crash for Nick Noggle in the 08.
Noggle up against the wall, just couldn't get it woed down and into the corner, eventually coming to a stop. Wall grinding him to a screeching halt. Rafael Lessard winning on night 2 for the Pro Late Models, which was Sunday. Night 3, Monday for the Pro Late Models. It was Brody Monahan in the 31 car. Fast competitor this week in the pros.
Vito Cancilla in that number 27 car, the white and red automobile. He and Jimmy Renfrew got into it. Renfrew not happy. Tried a little retaliation right there. Vito would go on to pick up the feature victory, his first career World Series feature win, and that put him in pretty good position to lock down that Pro Late Model World Series championship.
The final 2 nights for the Pro Late Models, it was all about the 18 car of Max Reeves. Dominant performances, setting fast time in qualifying and claiming the win on Wednesday night in the Cookout 18. And then he came right back on Thursday. And the Heart to Heart Foundation 100 was ahead of this crash that took place and blocked the track over in turn number 2, taking out our point champion Vito Cancilla, but his lead was big enough to go on to the World Series title. Reeves took the dominant performance and the win in the Heart to Heart Foundation 100. Final standings for the Pro Late Models, Vito Cancilla, your 2026 World Series champion.
I think Max Reeve may have celebrated with an M&M milkshake after
yes,
picking up those 2 feature victories there. Cole Roby had a good week. A disappointing final night, had an engine issue and then crashed the backup car, but he still had enough points to come home second. Connor Jones, William Roberge with a very consistent week, 4th overall, and Gage Gilby had a pretty good week as well. He finished in the 5th position.
Tour Type Modifieds. On Monday night, they started their World Series when it comes to a points championship, and 14-year-old Paulie Hartwig III took the victory in convincing fashion to the elation of his family on pit road, winning Monday night over a talented field of Tour Type Modifieds.
My favorite victory lane celebration right there. Dad Paul Jr. just elated beyond belief. How about this? Another weeknight victory for Ryan Preece, picking up the win on Tuesday night. That is, of course, 6 days after he went to victory lane in the clash up at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Patrick Emmerling, there's the 1 car on the inside of Ronnie Williams on Wednesday night. And the John Blewett III Memorial 76 made the move to the lead and pulled away down the stretch for the victory, taking his first of 2 victories during the week.
Adam Emmerling and Ronnie Williams went at it in the final 3 feature events of the week. And really, the exciting finish of the week was set up right there when Trevor Catalano spun. Keep an eye on that 50 car to the inside. Didn't get a good restart. Ronnie Williams going to give up the lead to Patrick Emmerling. He tried to take it back right here, and in fact did take it back for about, 300 yards until this happened going down into turn 3. Emmerling trying to work to the inside. Williams through the block. It didn't stick. Emmerling picking up his second straight feature win.
If it weren't for the late race caution, he would have had a convincing win, Williams, on Thursday night. So he came back on Friday night for the Richie Evans Memorial 100, tied for the point lead with Andrew Krause, and he had Patrick Emmerling just a few points behind him. Early on, Williams battling with Jimmy Blewett at the front of the field, and Williams, convincing fashion, claiming the Richie Evans 100 win, his first World Series win in many starts. And he wins the championship as well by 8 points over Patrick Emmerling. Andrew Krause, a consistent World Series, takes third. Jimmy Blewett, Paulie Hartwig the third, the top 5.
Good weeks for Jeffrey Battle and Jeffrey Goodale. James Blewett, the youngster, coming home in 8th. Austin Beers had some issues the last couple of nights. And Trevor Catalano was very strong at times throughout the week. Just had some bad luck towards the end. A couple of nights there towards the end of the week, he rounded out the top 10.
602 Modifieds, they determined a champion by running 4 nights this week. Night 1, Paulie Hartwig the third did it in the 602s, claiming the victory across the line. Hartwig winning on Sunday night.
Boy, he had a good week. Just 14 years of age, wins in the 602 Modifieds, couple of wins in the 602s, and a tour-type mod feature win. He and Skip Flores going at it. Look at that 73 car bouncing off the wall. Flores going to dive to the bottom side of the racetrack to take the lead. Skip started the week out in the booth with Kyle Rickey for the tour race on Saturday night, and he avoided all of this mess down the backstretch. Big time crash on the backstretch on Monday night. Ryan Flores taking his first career World Series victory.
They had Tuesday night off. They came back Wednesday to run a 66-lap event. Big pileup on the backstretch. Gradle climbing up over the front of Pappin's number 3. Went back to green, and it was a battle between these two and a good one down the stretch.
Paulie Hartwig the third timed it out just perfectly. Needed to pick up 1.6 seconds in 16 laps. Picked up 1/10 of a second a lap, and parked it down in victory lane for the second time in 3 nights.
The last 602 modified event, as you see the crashes that take place down in turn number 1, heading toward our camera platform there. Accident for Paul Fly spinning off of turn number 4. There's a big wreck up in the corner. One of the hardest hits we had this week for Beecher on the outside of Grinovitz.
Those two were not happy after this one. Look at that 3-wide battle for the lead. On the final lap, Eric Zay holding off Paulie Hartwig and Jack Handley Jr. And he deservedly was elated down there in victory lane. What a finish, and what a way to pick up your first career World Series victory. Paulie Hartwig III picking up the World Series championship over Handley Jr., Eric Zay. Jerry Gradle had a good week, and another good week there for Annabeth Crum in 5th.
So those were 4 title holders, and how we got to those during the course of the week. The Florida Modifieds, they've raced the last 3 nights, and they've had great fields of cars, Charlie. Caden Honeycutt, strong in the 30 car on Wednesday night, racing out front, taking the victory. Saw some action back in the field. George Rangel out of Michigan spinning around after some contact between he and Simons.
Lots of action in that first race of the week on Wednesday, and Caden Honeycutt driving away to the victory. And here's another incident over there. Chuck Barnes Jr. getting turned sideways while battling for position, and in that cloud of smoke got tagged. Look at that mess down on pit road. Cody Stickler with a terrible break on Thursday night that effectively ended his chance for the World Series championship.
There's Honeycutt going after it. with LaPrade in the 18, was able to pull away down the stretch. Honeycutt claiming the victory in the Florida Modifieds.
2 wins in 2 nights. Great way to start. He had only climbed into that car for the first time about 5 minutes before the start on Thursday night. Look at that big one right there. LaPrade had a good week in a various different race cars. Almost got up on the wall right there. A big hit for the 14-year-old in that number 18 car.
Be driving a different car here tonight in the Modifieds of Mayhem event. Coming across at the line last night, Augie Grill back in victory lane at the World Series. This one for the Florida Modifieds. Modified champions still to be determined for the Florida Mods. That will be part of tonight's show. The field has gridded on the front straightaway, and here's where we stand. 10-point lead for Brad Bowman in the 2 over Jared Maupin in the 96. Matthew LaPrade, young man in the 18, LJ Grimm and Caden Honeycutt, the top 5 in the World Series Florida Modified standings. Well, the mods are lined up, and it's a strong field covering our front straightaway. That's up first with a 60-lap event, then 2 heat races for the sprint cars. Super Stock's a 35-lap feature. Pro Trucks going 60. Sprint cars then back out to wrap up our night for a 25-lap sprint. Up on the edge of the seats for the fans in the stands as we send it trackside for the first time tonight to hear from our own Bob Dillner.
We are looking forward to this Modifieds of Mayhem event, but the guy standing next to me will not be in it. We're expecting Caden Honeycutt, who won the first 2 races of the week with the Florida Modifieds, to be in the show. But then a buddy of yours needed some help. So why don't you explain to everybody why you're not racing here tonight?
Yeah, so unfortunately Matthew had a really bad crash last night. Just made a mistake and got in the lap car, and it tore the car up pretty good. So, you know, I'm very fortunate enough that I get to run a truck full time, and, you know, he's running for a Mods of Mayhem championship, and I know there's a drop week, but I really didn't even know that until you actually told me earlier. So, and he needs to race. I want him to continue to learn and figure out what he needs to do to be better, and the kid's only 14, right? So, like, yeah, he's done a great job all week. I just want to see him finish it off right, and I know Ricky, I was going to drive the car he was going to drive, but it doesn't really matter to me, honestly. I just want to go out and see him race and improve every step that he goes into.
Yet you are out here tonight to root him on, root Augie Grill on as well, who's in the car that you won with the first 2 nights. Why do you like these Modified so much?
Man, just a lot of power and no tire, right? So it's very, the front ends and the front clips on these things are so generic, and I think they're back from 15, 20 years ago that they're modeled off of still. So, yeah, it's a really cool race car, and there's a lot of people that got so many different designs on bodies and so many different ideas, and I think that's what is really cool about mod racing is there's so many philosophies people come up with and still try to get to the same point, right? So, yeah, I think anytime I can hop in these things and learn throttle control and learn what tire slip is, I can carry it on in anything I do.
Caden Honeycutt in the Daytona race for the NASCAR Truck Series last night, not in the show here tonight, as he explained. And just to further explain that a little bit, he was in the 30 car earlier in the week, and that's where he got his 2 victories. Augie Grill climbed in that car. He's in the car again today. Augie won last night. Caden was actually supposed to run the Ricky Moxley number 38, but because of that accident last night for LaPrade has the nod. Caden said, you go in it, you race, you try to go after this win here tonight.
So Caden Honeycutt taking the night off. He won the first 2 Florida Modified features earlier this week. Opening ceremonies moments away. There you see some of the fast cars that we've had on track. Cody Stickler in the 42 had problems in his own 46 that he drives for Doug Moff, so he's been driving the 42. It's been fast, but he's had bad luck in the 42 as well.
Starting 21st on the grid today,
Field
driving the
lined up
14X machine out of
trackside.
Tony, Alabama. Let's hear it for Trey Huff. Starting back in the 20th position, driving car number 1 out of Muskegon, Michigan. Please give a nice warm welcome to John Beach. Perfect last name for down here. Starting in 19th tonight, one of the top drivers in points coming into the finale tonight out of San Antonio, Texas. Put your hands together for Jared Maupin. Starting in 18th tonight, out of Hudson, Indiana, driving car number 61. Let's have a nice round of applause for Brad Springer. And now starting in the 17th spot out of LaGrange, Ohio, it is car number 37 for Spencer Steinman. Starting on the outside of row number 8 today out of Baileytown, Alabama, driving car number 62. Please put your hands together for Buddy Anderson. And now a driver from just down the road from New Smyrna Beach, a veteran of the Speedway, multi-time track champion. Let's hear it for the Hammer, Jerry Simons. Starting 14th tonight, our current World Series point leader, all the way from Clearwater, Florida. Please have a nice round of applause for car number 2 and Brad Bowman. Starting next to him in car number 35, this driver's out of Sarasota, Florida. Let's hear it for Gregory Crom. Starting 12th tonight in this beautifully prepared car number 93 out of Hamilton, Indiana. Let's hear it for Brian Nestor. Starting on his inside tonight, driving the 57N machine from Groveport, Ohio. Please put your hands together, or your knuckles, for Tyler Knuckles. Now to meet our top 10 starters tonight, a former champion of the World Series in car number 57 out of St. Petersburg, Florida. Let's hear it for Timmy Moore. Moving down to the 9th starting position, this driver's out of Chipley, Florida, driving car number 18. Let's hear it for Kevin Peel. Starting in the 8th starting position, finished second here just a night ago, out of Pensacola, Florida. Please put your hands together for Derek Griffin. Starting to his inside, one of the hottest rookie prospects in the field tonight out of New Smyrna Beach, driving the backup car tonight. Let's hear it for Matthew LaPrade. Looking to recover from a gnarly crash here yesterday. We'll see what he can do from 8th starting position. Or 7th, I'm sorry. Up to the 6th starting position now out of Orlando, Florida, driving the famous Brickhouse Motorsports number 15. Put your hands together for Matthew Green. And now to our top 5 starters tonight. This driver fresh off a 3rd place podium finish here last night. Let's hear it for New Smyrna's own Tank Tucker. And now moving up to the 4th starting position. This driver set fast time in qualifying today. All the way from Pinellas Park, Florida. It's car number 42 and Cody Stickler. Down on his inside, our winner from just last night in this rocket fast number 30 machine. Let's hear it for Hayden, Alabama's Augie Grill. And now, folks, to our front row starters tonight out of Punta Gorda, Florida, showing some good speed the last couple of nights. It's car number 91 and Ander Jackson. And getting to roll off from pole position, hoping to stay there for all 60 laps. Second in points here just 1 year ago. Let's hear it for Louisville, Kentucky's Chuck Barnes Jr. And folks, let's hear it one more time for our modified of Mayhem stars as they get ready to turn things up. We're going to fire up their engines in just a little while. But now, I will ask you all to please rise and remove your caps if you are able. And we'll welcome in Greg Berkeley from the Auto Racing Outreach for today's invocation. Greg?
Let's pray tonight. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for a beautiful night to go racing. Well, Lord, we thank you for your grace, for your mercy, for the salvation that you provide through your Son. God, may you watch over each competitor, each team member, each fan, each worker at the track tonight. Father, give us safety, give us your protection, and give us your watch, care, and blessing. We ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you very much. And now, if you'll please remain standing, welcome in the lovely Tiffany Green to present today's Star Spangled Banner. Tiffany?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts that we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a nice round of applause for Tiffany Green with the Star-Spangled Banner. And now, just one order of business left to do. Kids, join me here in Victory Lane. We're going to have our friends over here, Chase, Ryland, and Peyton, help us give us the command for today's modified of Mayhem 60. All right, guys, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then say start your engines. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The engines have fired. The modifieds of Mayhem. Florida modified action this week has been solid. Fields of cars 20 plus each of the 3 nights so far. Much the same tonight with a starting field expected of 24 entries. Moments away from rolling them off. A few warm-up laps, and then we go racing for 60 laps. For the Roger Dabbs Performance Parts Modifieds of Mayhem feature event. Top 8, a redraw. Qualifying earlier, each of the top 8 in qualifying getting a chance to pull a pill for a complete redraw for the top 8 positions. No invert here, just a redraw.
So in theory, you could have the pole qualifier draw the #1 pill and have the fast car on the pole. In any case, Chuck Barnes Jr. going to have a pretty good starting spot. He looks like he needs to recover from a couple of bad nights here in that 55 car, and he's going to have a good shot at it starting from inside that front row.
Cody Stickler, not a big surprise there. Top qualifier in the 42 out of Pinellas Park, Florida. Derek Griffin was second quick in the 95, and Chuck Barnes Jr., the 55, was third fast in qualifying. Tank Tucker, good run last night. Podium finish, third spot, Matthew LaPrade in a different car tonight. The 38 qualified 5th in this strong field. As we take a look at the starting lineup for this Modifieds of Mayhem feature event featuring the JNC Great All Modifieds.
Chuck Barnes Jr. up on the front row. Ander Jackson out of Punta Gorda, Florida in the number 91 alongside. There's Augie Grill in that car that has won all 3 Florida Modified features so far this week. He's alongside Cody Stickler out of Pinellas Park in the 42.
4-time World Series Modified champion Tank Tucker inside of row number 3 after a great run last night. Matthew Green, see him in several divisions during the course of the week, running outside of row number 3. Matthew LaPrade, the 14-year-old, starts inside of row 4. And Derek Griffin, strong run last night, came up second, starts 8th.
Kevin Peel in the number 18 alongside longtime veteran Tim Moore in the number 57. Another number 57, the 57N of Tyler Knuckles out of suburban Columbus, Ohio, alongside Hamilton, Indiana's Brian Nestor back there in row 6.
Second half of our field featuring Gregory Crom out of Sarasota, Florida, making his first start of the week inside of row 7. Brad Bowman, the World Series point leader by 10 points, coming in, starts 14th. Starting 15th, Jerry Simons, veteran, many-time champion, 48-time feature winner during the World Series. And Buddy Anderson in the 62 starts outside of row number 8.
Spencer Steinman making the trip down from the eastern suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio. He's alongside Brad Springer out of Hudson, Indiana, back there in row 9. Jared Maupin, he's been up front most of the week. He's going to start inside row 10 alongside John Beach out of the Great White North, Muskegon, Michigan, all the way down here in the number 1.
Final 4 starters: Trey Huff in the 14X, the 36 of Greg Campbell, George Lindsay, the 16, Zach Harris, the 54. That's the field of Florida Modifieds. Also, the season opener for the Roger Dabbs Performance Parts Modifieds of Mayhem. Bob, here we go.
Matthew LaPrade thought his week was over with these Florida Modifieds and the Modifieds of Mayhem. But Caden Honeycutt came to the rescue. LaPrade, involved in an incident last night, destroyed his race car. Caden Honeycutt, who won the first 2 races, ran the Truck Series race last night at Daytona, says, take my ride. You're running for points in the modifieds of Mayhem. This is their season opener, and that's why Matthew LaPrade is in that black Ricky Moxley, number 38, here tonight.
He's driven a number of different cars and trucks this week. We'll see him in the trucks as well later tonight. Matthew LaPrade, a talented young driver, had the problem last night off of 4, got up on the wall. This race is underway at the green, and third fast qualifier, the veteran Chuck Barnes Jr. goes into the lead, outside lane, shifting back a little bit. Andrew Jackson trying to fall in line somewhere in the top 5, might be the 4 spot.
Meanwhile, Augie Grill in the number 30 with a great start. He's already picked up a position, now fighting off Cody Stickler. Stickler with an equally good start in the 42 car. These two have been going at it throughout the course of the week. One of those cars has had a lot of really good luck, the other a lot of really bad luck. Cody Stickler trying to get his week turned around, and he's looking good here in the early going in that white, gold, and maroon number 42.
Second spot right now is the 30 car of Augie Grill. Won last night after Caden Honeycutt won the first 2 events for the modifieds this week. But right now, Grill is under fire by Stickler, one of the best Florida modified type competitors in the country. To the inside, Stickler for the number 2 spot across the line will take it. Set fast time earlier, and now looks to show his speed on long runs and hope for better luck and make it to the finish. Grill misjudged turn 2, got up into the wall, continues on. Car seems to be okay. Just kind of misjudged that outside retaining wall coming off the second corner. White walled the tires a little bit, and the car jumped up into the air.
You know he's going to be a little nervous for a lap or 2 as he feels that car out after that contact, but again, a very seasoned veteran, Augie Grill behind the wheel of that number 3. He'll get that car sorted out before too long as we check in on Derek Griffin in the number 95. Derek had a good run here last night. And there's Andrew Jackson in the number 91. Started up towards the fronts, giving up a couple of positions as we see a battle between Green and Moore back there. Look at this battle for the lead on over in 3 and 4.
Chuck Barnes Jr. in the lead. Cody Stickler is running down and wants it. To the inside, here comes Stickler. Can't quite pull all the way up wheel to wheel, but is closing on the leader, making ground up, especially down the straightaway where that powerful number 42 pulls wheel to wheel in 3 and 4. Will we have a new leader at the line for lap number 5? We do.
Cody Stickler banging wheels there with the Chuck Barnes Jr. as they go off into turn 1. The driver of that 42 car has been fast all week long in a pair of different automobiles. Just could not get Lady Luck to smile on his shoulders this week, but right now that car is looking really good, isn't it, Bob?
The problem is it's looked good all week long. Cody Stickler has had himself a week. His normal ride, trouble underneath the hood, never can get that rectified. So this ride opened up, and he's done well. He's been fast and has been near the front. But think about that. The oil leak, and then a broken axle last night. That led him to today. And also, in qualifying, fast time again. Asked Cody Stickler, are you done with the bad luck? He said, I need good luck to go my way tonight. So you gotta wonder. He's got that fast car. He knows he can win. He's won a bunch of these modified races down here. But will that car hold together on the final night?
Former Florida Modified World Series champion back in 2016. He's claimed 8 World Series wins. And now to the inside, here comes Augie Grill for second place. Chuck Barnes Jr. has it. Augie Grill wants to take it away, and despite that hit to the wall coming off of turn 2 a handful of laps ago, Grill's car seems to be okay.
Still very fast, but I'll tell you what, it's maybe not handling exactly the way that car has the last couple of nights. A little tail happy there off of turn 4 the last couple of laps, but Augie Grill able to work his way to the inside of the racetrack, bottoming out a little bit as he goes off into turn 1 there. Big shower of sparks as he works his way past Chuck Barnes Jr. to take over second. And Chuck Barnes Jr. looks like he was off the pace there momentarily.
And you're going to see why. He drops off the pace. His spotter said, hey, track is blocked in turn 4 on the front straightaway. All kinds of cars tore up over here. We see the 66 of Jerry Simons stopped on the front straightaway, the 57 of Tyler Knuckles, the 62 of Anderson involved.
Crom in the 35 with a lot of steam coming out from under the hood there. I think that was the 62 car pulling away.
A big one takes place coming off of turn 4, deeper in the field from about positions 13 on back. We'll recap that. 11 laps down, 49 to go when we return on FloRacing. Eleven laps down, 49 to go in our first race of the final night of the World Series in 2026. There's the Gregory Crom, number 35, on the back of the tow truck going pit side. He was the only one that couldn't drive away under his own power. All the rest did. Here's a look at the camera and see what happens coming off of turn 4. Simons is sideways there, and Crom is involved. Now, did Simons get sideways because Crom made some contact, or did Simons just get sideways at the top of the track? Nonetheless, those two were the first two involved, position 13 and 14. It looked far down there.
Looked to me like Simons just got sideways on his own, and Crom was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Bob, you're standing by with a very disappointed Gregory Crom.
Absolutely. Let's find out. Greg, what happened up there? It was hard to tell from our viewpoint.
The 66 slid up, and I drove under him, and he says he got loose and turned down onto my right rear, so I guess it's just a racing deal.
Bad break for Greg Crom on this one. He did go up to Jerry Simons just to have a conversation with him to discuss the incident, but it's like you guys said, it looked like Simons got a little bit sideways and Crom had nowhere to go.
Yeah, bad break there for the 35 of Crom. Good shots from our camera operators there. The 35 of Crom done for the night. Jerry Simons, the 66, has had a tough week. He's made his way back to the tail of the field to try to recover and salvage a decent finish. Simons, many-time champion here at the World Series. This week, though, finishes of 7th, 20th, and 19th as he tries to fine-tune that car and get a little more out of it. As the one-to-go signal comes up this time. Next time, we go to the green for the race leader and top qualifier, Cody Stickler in the 42. as the modifieds of Mayhem. Nicholas Rogers here to race direct for Stan Narrison for the modifieds of Mayhem tonight. This also counts toward the World Series Florida Modified Championship points, where Brad Bowman had a 10-point lead on Jared Maupin. So a 5-position difference there. Matthew LaPrade was third in the standings. 14-year-old currently running in 12th position, was right ahead of the accident. Coming to green, Stickler on the outside, controls the pace. Barnes went a little early, but then Stickler hits the go button and jumps out front, heading to turn 1.
Stickler's car accelerating really good here. He's going to jump out in that top lane to a couple of car length advantage down the backstretch. There's Augie Grill facing some pressure from Tank Tucker. Best we've seen Tank Tucker run here the last couple of seasons. That 15 car looking really strong here in the early going, but everybody trying to latch onto the back bumper of Cody Stickler and keep him in sight.
Oh, Griffin kind of came up the track. Andrew Jackson was on the outside as they went down into turn 1, and Griffin had to jump on the binders to avoid major contact. Green gets into the back of Moore. Up the track goes the point leader for the World Series, the 2 of Bowman. He loses 3 positions. Tyler Knuckles able to scoot through in the 57. He's running in the 9th position. His first World Series visit this year, and he's improving nightly, now up in the top 10.
You know, there wasn't a time not too long ago that even with some of the shorter fields that we've seen in that division, an incident like that would have taken out half the field. Good heads-up driving right there by some of these guys to not make that a big deal over there in turns 3 and 4. Still green, as here is the battle between, ironically enough, green and the number 15. Derek Griffin trying to track him down. Ooh, look at that shot to the back bumper there by Tyler Knuckles, the accordion effect there. And again, everybody's skating around, making it clear through that one off of turn 4.
Yeah, Derek Griffin's got a problem. We saw how fast he was last night, and now he's going to come to a stop over in turn 2. Griffin comes to a stop with issues on the 95 car, bringing out the yellow flag with 15 laps in for the modifieds of Mayhem. Griffin able to refire and pull away in the second turn, but he goes from last night, an impressive run of second place in his first start of the week, to tonight falling through the field quickly. I don't think it's a tire issue. I think it's sort of a mechanical issue for Griffin. Seemed to be off the pace down the straightaway.
Yep, and it looks like all 4 tires are up, so it certainly isn't a tire issue. Could be suspension issue, or perhaps the engine running off song. Could be anything at this point.
Remember last night coming to the checkered, as he went across the line, the air cleaner cover goes flying in the air all over the front straightaway of the checkered. So Derek talking to his crew right now, and they're going around looking at the right front, maybe making a change of a tire. It doesn't look to be down. Send it down to Bob.
You are right, Adam. They're taking a look at that right front tire, but Derek said the car had not been handling good, but he believes he does have a tire going down there with that right front. So they take that off, and they're analyzing maybe some other things to do to this race car. They got the tire going on, but Derek had reported that this car just did not feel right, and you saw it as soon as they went back to green after that restart. He was just kind of holding on, and he was holding on in a way, if you think about it, Adam, with how that car was, he was holding on the upper line, just letting people go to the bottom and being very careful with the wheel as if it was a right front tire possibly going down on the 95.
Maybe it was running a little bit low on pressure.
Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Right here, you can tell, you know, when you press down on it here, and it's just one of those things, when you press down, you shouldn't be able to press down in the middle of it, and you can see the flex right there. That tire definitely going down for Derek Griffin.
Yes, it was starting to lose pressure. Wasn't really noticeable by looking at the car when it came to pit road, but you can tell when Bob put his hand on it and was able to press down for a right side tire. Shouldn't be able to do that. And Derek Griffin back on the racetrack with a flat right front tire. Derek Griffin showing on timing and scoring is 2 laps down due to a penalty for stopping to bring out a yellow. So the pace car lights are off, and we're coming around to green, where Cody Stickler leads. 15 laps of the 60 complete. First feature of the night. 2 heat races for the sprint cars. Coming up next, followed by 3 more features on our coverage here on FloRacing, and Cody Stickler back underway at the green and shoots into the lead quickly to turn 1.
Stickler on the jump. Here comes Tank Tucker in that white number 15 car off the top side of turn 2. He will take the second position down the backstretch and into turn 3. Tucker looking good here tonight.
Yeah, he looked good last night too. Finished third, one of his better World Series runs in a while. The veteran, one of the oldest drivers in this modified field, and was able to get it done last night. Put it on the podium, was excited in victory lane. Wanted one of those FloRacing hats. He said he had a few, he wanted another one. I don't think Bob had a stock of those with him when he interviewed him last night, but a good interview with Bob nonetheless, because Tank Tucker was thrilled with that third place finish. We're watching Matthew Green in the 15, Jared Maupin in the 96. Back in the field, that is for 9th position.
Maupin started all the way back in 19th position. We have seen that car up front night in and night out throughout the course of the week, battling for podium positions. A very uncharacteristic qualifying effort had him nearly outside the top 20, but he has rallied very well here to race up into the top 10 before we're even to the 1/3 mark here tonight. And look at that car way up the racetrack.
John Beach way up the track in turns 3 and 4. He's trying to make a run at Tyler Knuckles just outside of the top 10. Knuckles was running in 11th. The 2 of Brad Bowman was back there as well. Bowman, the point leader for the World Series, running in the 12th position. His closest challenger for the championship, Jared Maupin, running just a couple positions in front of him. So right now Bowman okay when it comes to the points battle, but he'd love to pick up a few spots. He hasn't been outside of the top 10 much this week.
There's John Beach rallying again to the outside of Tyler Knuckles after kind of jumping the cushion down there in 3 and 4 and drifting up the racetrack. The one car looking pretty strong. Tyler Knuckles kind of holding up that train there a little bit. Spencer Steinman in that battle as well.
Into the last round of pit stops, one of the drivers that came to the pits is an impressive youngster that has had some good runs, but a different car tonight, and he came to the pits on the last round, Bob.
Yeah, Matthew LaPrade was not happy with that race car. In fact, it was so loose, he thought he might have a tire going down. It wasn't a tire going down. So they came to pit road, made an air pressure adjustment, and also made an adjustment with the sway bar as well to help that car to be more like Matthew LaPrade's liking.
He did qualify well inside the top 8. We're watching Timmy Moore going back with his traditional 57. Had been running the 99 this week in honor of his father. Watching from home the races where his son Timmy Moore, a 2-time World Series champion, competing this week. Timmy Moore 7th in the standings. His best finish came a couple nights ago, 5th place, trying to hold off the number 30 of Augie Grill for 4th position.
That 30 car has been very loose. It's loose right there as he works his way off of turn 4. We saw him power slide his way through turn 4 a couple of laps back. As soon as he got on the throttle pedal, the rear end kicked sideways, and I think right now Augie Grill really fighting some handling difficulties, and if he's not careful, he's going to end up burning that right rear tire off of that number 30 automobile. It'll kind of be a tough night for the car that has won all 3 Florida modified feature events this week. And the caution lights on one more time here as we approach the midway point.
25 laps in, 5 to go. 35 to go, 5 until the halfway mark. The 14 of Trey Huff, a spin in turns 1 and 2, bringing out a caution. Trey Huff in the 14X out of Tony, Alabama, Mods of Mayhem Tour in 2025. And 1 top 5, 8th in the points for the 2025 season. Point leader running 11th, Brad Bowman out of Clearwater, Florida. Has 1 World Series win to his credit a year ago, one on opening night back in 2025. Finished 4th in the points last year, but looking for his first World Series championship. Right now things are going okay for Brad Bowman. Trey Huff's number 14, the cause for the yellow. The Alabama driver going back to the pits on the back of the hook. Tow truck drivers have been busy this week, especially early in the week. Pit stops ongoing under this yellow flag, working on the number 30 car of Augie Grill.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out things because, of course, Augie hit the wall early in this number 30 car, and they've been looking at the right rear. You guys have been talking about whether or not he has actually burned up that right rear tire. It's very, very loose for Augie Grill in this number 30, and if you take a look how he hit the wall, they were wondering if he might have actually bent some suspension parts on that number 30 as well. But down here they did take the right rear tire off, and you can see actually where he hit the wall, and the officials were just over here. And again, one of those situations not as significant as the last tire we pressed down, but you can see honestly that it has lost a little air, but that possibly is where the air was leaking out, is where that wheel actually hit the wall.
You know, Adam, looking at the suspension setup on that car, the tires look like they're a little cattywampus on that thing, but that's actually how they're set up. They're supposed to be kind of be angled like that to give maximum grip in the corner. But in any case,